This letter, let's call it Marsha Rimler is an ignorant bigot, was written 2023-04-18, published to what was called CV Open. It's the unofficial board for the cooperative, outside the scope of management, because management and the board censor. They won't post topics. They don't take questions, important ones at least, at the board meetings. Then they used COVID to have Zoom meetings where you had to have the questions submitted in advance. They don't like surprises. Anyway, so this whole other group managed by someone that lives there, whoever put them in charge, well, I got a story about them too. Anyway, and the point of this story is that this is in 1950 Alabama. This is downtown Brooklyn, 2020s, okay? Deep blue, in quotes, liberal, in quotes, progressive, in quotes. And these, not so surprisingly to me, but this is not a MAGA story. MAGA's loud and proud about this shit. In 2016, they figured out, oh shit, we don't have to pretend. We can just say whatever disgusting things at the top of our mind and get away with it. Oh, no consequences. White Democrats were a little slow to pick up. They were like, wait, we still have to pretend we're outraged. We're on their side, but we can't say it out loud. These are these people, the two-faced lying hypocrites. Okay? So it's not just MAGA's fault. Half of old white Democrats are disgusting, degenerate, racist. Relative to MAGA, the bar is low, but they still are. Anyway, because this woman, like I said, about Ursula Hahn, her two, and Martin Solomon, them three, they're all Democrats, supposedly, liberal. Anyway, Marsha Rimler is an ignorant bigot. That is not an opinion, it is a statement of fact. This is also not an opportunity for the rest of the Koncord Karen Kooperative to chime in. Just listen for once in your life. Take it as a rare opportunity to self-reflect and become self-aware, to learn and grow and become a halfway decent person. Sunday morning, Marsha told me to go back to my country. I shouldn't have to qualify why this is both ignorant and bigoted because it should be self-evident. But I'll break it down for the people who are still longing to go back to the 1950s when you had your own water fountains. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. Spoiler alert, that means this is my country. My mother and her mother were born in Brooklyn. They're also Americans. And their predecessors came from Italy, fleeing persecution and seeking opportunities, much the same as every immigrant coming here from around the world around that same time, including Marsha Rimler's family. Because Marsha Rimler, she's Jewish of a certain age, shy of being thrown in an oven. Okay? So how dare she tell anyone to go back to their country? Anyway, should I go back to Italy? No, I don't think that's it. Italians weren't fully accepted here at the time, but now they're granted full white status in the U.S. for the most part. My great-grandfather was born on a stretch of land, fought over back and forth many times over between Italy and Yugoslavia. So he was American. He was granted U.S. citizenship for enlisting in the U.S. Navy. He had a Slavic last name and DNA, but an Italian passport. My maternal grandfather was born in Brooklyn and joined the U.S. Air Force, so he was also American. Should I go back to Yugoslavia? Because you might not have heard, Yugoslavia doesn't exist anymore. My father was born in Puerto Rico and came to New York when he was 5, and his family tree was rooted there as far back as he knows. In 1898, the U.S. invaded Puerto Rico, claiming to have been liberating them from the Spanish who were already on their way out. The U.S. determined it needed a strategic military hub in the Caribbean and a place to test bombs on the beach. The U.S. also needed more volunteers to fight in World War I. So Puerto Rico's benevolent dictator gave them U.S. citizenship in return for their sacrifice, even if they were born or lived on the island. So my father is American by force. He left as a child because the U.S. was still bombing it into the 1950s and sterilizing women without their consent into the 60s. So there was no opportunity. So his family came to New York. He joined the U.S. Air Force and flew planes over the South to enforce desegregation in schools. Should I go back to Puerto Rico? Yes, that's the one. Marsha doesn't like my spring tan. Because I remember one time Marsha told me very casually in the Concord Village gym during our one-on-one personal training sessions that she told a Jamaican meter maid to go back to her country for giving her a parking ticket she actually deserved. She said this in a gym with other people in earshot, with no shame. I told her that my father's Puerto Rican and a veteran, and he's still told to go back to his country, so it will never be good enough for some people. I know by saying this, Marsha will retaliate and attack my professionalism. Ooh, I said that like James Bond. And credentials, so before she spews her baseless lies, here are the facts. Before this incident, Marsha renewed personal training with me 4 separate times in packages of 10 sessions each. We did 33 sessions between September 9th, 2021 and 5/25/2022. That's a lot of time and a lot of sessions and opportunities to attack my character, but she did not. She suddenly came down with an unrelated condition that would prevent her from using her remaining sessions and demanded a refund very bluntly and rudely. But I was very happy to oblige to never have to deal with her again. On 10/7/2022, I went to the post office and sent her her refund for the sessions she didn't use via U.S. postal money order by certified mail with delivery confirmation. 2 days later, I got an email from her confirming she received the funds. I have all the receipts. I had no interaction with her for months. Cut to Sunday morning at the dog run. When I saw her coming, I went to the other end of the dog run and closed the divider as soon as I could. But my dog's leash was on the other side, and she took it, clipped it to her dog, and was about to leave. I went to the other side, unclipped the leash, and explained, "This leash is mine. It's bright, glow-in-the-dark lime green. It's long, with a second handle halfway down if I need to keep my dog closer to me. Very unique indeed. So distinct it would be very hard to mistake it for yours." She didn't even say it was a mistake. She said she thought someone else left the dog run without it. How would anyone leave the dog run without a leash? Who else's leash could it be with only 2 people here? She needed an excuse to instigate a fight because I wouldn't engage her. She started yelling at me. I told her I don't have any interest in this conversation. Let's keep it moving. There was an eyewitness to this. And very nice woman of mixed ethnicity and race. 5'0" and slim, and I'm only telling you that because just the week before, Marsha screamed bloody murder at her for walking too close behind her in a doorman building where they both live. Anyway. Spill the tea. As I walked away, she continued to yell and told me to go back to my country. The full quote was, "And I'll make sure you'll never work again." Spoiler alert, she did. All right, this is when I had to put her in her place. Someone finally matched her energy and she didn't like it. None of the Karens around here seem to like that around here. She was outraged that someone finally talked back to her the way she talks to everyone around here. She yelled at me like a complete stranger, not the person hovering over her to make sure she didn't fall over and break bones when doing sit-to-stand exercises. I'm not the person who had to overlook all her incoherent, ignorant, racist, demented ramblings and just attribute it to being a product of our time and rapid mental decline. That's such a cop-out. She was always a fucking racist. Just the dementia turns off the part of your brain that realizes you're not supposed to say this shit out loud. Hello. Suddenly, I'm not the person she tried to set up on dates with her eligible bachelorettes. Trust me, I'm not interested. As soon as I called Marsha out on her bullshit, I became a spick that doesn't belong in America. My accomplishments do not matter. Honors in high school, computer science at fancy school, but I do not belong here because a mediocre, deranged white woman with an overinflated ego and entitlement says I don't belong here. I am the American dream. Marsha is the American nightmare. Marsha is everyone's nightmare. So I submitted a complaint report to the National Association of Social Workers and the New York State Office of Professional Discipline. I thought they should know an actively working licensed social worker therapist frequently roams the blocks in her pajamas, yelling at random people on the sidewalk. She harasses neighbors and throws out racial epithets that flow so easily off her tongue because she's used to it and no one has ever corrected her in her long, insufferable life. Now, after I submitted this letter, people came to me with their stories of what she did. She threatened the manager in writing, then threatened her verbally in person in the office, and then assaulted her. No jail time, because she's a white woman. She gets away with it. Anyway, one of the board members is brown, and she said by the time this letter went out, she sent a letter to the board saying, this woman you put in the apartment across from me while she renovates the apartment that she owns, you should have consulted me before you put a brown person across from me. I don't appreciate it. And she would catch her putting her ear to the door and listening to her conversations from the other side, and she tried to steal her dog's bed because she dropped it accidentally while doing laundry. So when Himati Patel saw my letter, number one, she wasn't supposed to see it because this group was outside of the scope of management and the board, and they weren't supposed to be in on it. So much for that idea. Second, she says, "Thank you for taking one for the team." So an acknowledgement that I'm not lying and I'm doing the right thing, but that she's about to throw me under the bus as a board member and not do anything about it. Well, that's her character. Vote for Himati Patel. Uncle Tom of the board. Useful idiot. Anyway, getting off the topic of this. A very lovely brown woman at the dog run with a very lovely dog has also felt the racist wrath of Marsha. Many other people have Marsha stories. I suggest they also make a report. Can you imagine what kind of deranged advice she gives her clients? She also hurled so many homophobic slurs at a gay couple that lived on the property that they invested in a a bullhorn to drown her out anytime she passed by. Yelling at little black boys on their scooters, saying she's going to sue them. Anyway, Marsha has called me multiple times right before midnight as I'm typing this. I've blocked her number and I took a screenshot of the call log and I sent it to management and the board. Personally, I think Marsha should be more eager to spend time with her new grandchild instead of harassing her neighbors. But she has no joy in her life, no real purpose but to spread hate and misery. In summary, Marsha can go back to where she came from and where she belongs, the depths of hell. P.S. Marsha frequently complains about people not picking up dog poop. However, the last 2 times I saw her at the dog run, she did not pick it up. As soon as the poop hits the ground, her brain must reset. She must look down and immediately think, who let their dog poop here and didn't pick it up? This is an outrage. I'm going to complain to management. It's you, Marsha. You didn't pick it up, but I made sure she picked it up on Sunday morning. Follow up. Another point about the dog poop. Listen, if you've ever been to a co-op board meeting, very boring. But they get really incensed about nonsense. So if a dog farts anywhere near the grass, oh my God, the Karens go wild. They get the pitchforks ready. They form committees to scavenge the grounds looking for dog turds, and they count them. And they'll find maybe 1 or 2 on a whole square block in Brooklyn. That's pretty good. But there's always someone complaining about the dogs, and they want to ban the dogs and the people. And one woman, she wanted to get someone exiled because the car alarm was too sensitive. It was going off at night and disrupting her sleep. That same woman doesn't care that I was being harassed by any of her white friends because they're allowed to do it. It's built into Concord Village. Vote for all the same idiots and you get the same problems. So I'm doing a public service, exposing the hypocrisy of our times. We didn't get here because of MAGA. We got here because of MAGA and two-faced Democrats. Get rid of them. Out of Congress, out of public service, non-threateningly, very clearly, put them in the nursing home. It's time to go to sleep. Take your medicine. Have your pudding. You're dead set on wrecking society on your way down to hell, and we're not going to let you. This is your wake-up call for your kids and grandkids to put you in the fucking home. Good night.